Yes, sir. What is happening, everybody? Welcome back. Blood Splatter Chatter. Verno and the Missing Link here with you for another little Sunday fun day. About to say double feature, but no. Just a brand new 2025 movie. I think it came out last week on Shudder. The Ugly Stepsister from first time director, which personally I was pretty impressed by. Emily Blikefeld. It's a Norwegian flick, which I didn't know when I jumped into it. I didn't realize it was Norwegian, but I'll just say right off the bat, eased me into it right away. Sometimes some certain languages, it's like the way the language translates. It's like you got to read really fast. This was like no problem. Kind of forgot it was in another language pretty quickly. But it is a body horror take on the Cinderella story, which for me is pretty cool. It's like this is my wife's favorite of all the Disney animated movies. She's force feeding my daughter to make it her favorite, so it's on at my house all the fucking time. I'm constantly walking around singing the songs and shit. But it's a tale as old as time, the Cinderella story. So I knew that, but I looked into it a little bit further, and it goes back like thousands. Like the elements of it, some of the elements go back like all the way to ancient Egypt and shit like that. Like elements where there's a story where like an eagle comes and like steals a girl's slipper and then drops it on the king's lap, and he goes around doing like a recognition kind of ceremony type thing. And then there's one of the first like recognized most famous versions of it. There's a Chinese version in like 1860 AD. I think it's actually called The Ugly Stepsister. And then there's two really important ones. There's a French one, and I think like the 1600s. And I apologize, I forget all these people's names. There's a French one that is pretty much what the Disney one is based on. It's more or less that story. It's got the pumpkin in the carriage. It's got the fairy godmother. It's got all the elements that we're super familiar with. And then there's the Brothers Grimm, who you've heard. Yeah, Hansel and Gretel. They I don't know if they came up with any of these stories, but they have a lot of the most popular versions of a lot of the fairy tales that we know. But they always leaned into the darker aspects of it. And I guess their version, you actually have some of the mutilation where the stepsister is cutting off. One of them cuts off her toes, and the other one cuts off her heel. So that's where that comes from, which we'll obviously get into. But I'll just say I thought it was fucking fantastic, man. I don't know where you fell on it, but it was partially just how close it stays to the story that we're so familiar with, but how different it is. It's just this different perspective where instead of it being from Cinderella's perspective, it's from the perspective of one of the ugly stepsisters. And she actually has her hair done like the stepsisters do in the Cinderella story. Once they get dialed up for the ball, looks fucking terrible, almost as bad as my eyebrows that I accidentally kind of shaved off before the fucking show. But don't look at that. But I thought it was great, man. I love how close it stays to it, but how different it is, and how often it goes beat for beat. But I kept on almost forgetting. Like I'm convinced that Elvira, the stepsister, is going to get the prince. And I'm like, oh no, this is not her fucking story. It like fooled me 2 or 3 times. I'm like, oh no, this is gonna go a different way. I thought it was really good. There was so much more nuance to it, obviously, than like the Disney version. I'm sure there's versions that are more grounded, that are a little bit closer to this. Like I loved the Drew Barrymore one, Ever After, back in the day. And there's over 100 adaptations of this story. So it's kind of like Dracula, where there's a tale that does almost everything, but I don't think there's any that does this, that turns it into what this did. But what did you think, man?
No, I'm right there with you. I really enjoyed this one. I got a good spotting out on the subtitling, like Johnny.
Johnny, what up? Yeah, you guys, Johnny just dropped an episode on this today, which I checked out. Excellent job, Johnny. So you guys, if you're interested in it, go check out what he did on it too, for sure. What up, Chill?
Yes, sir.
My brother says, "Oh, Cinderella story." Now the title makes sense. What up, brother? But sorry, Link.
No, I good spotting out with the subtitles. I can be a little intimidated when it comes to that. It's weird because I'm a reader, but I've gotten lazy in that aspect. Like I used to have no problem with subtitle films, like anything, But I will be honest, like in my later years, I can be a little thrown off sometimes. I'm like sometimes it's going too fast for my pacing, for me to keep up. But this movie read just fine. Like you said, at a certain point, you forget that you're even reading subtitles. I was immediately like, what's the word? I was captivated or caught. What caught my eye was like, it's like it's a fairy tale, and it's got like this energy to it, and like the music in it ties to the energy. It's like
Yeah.
this electronic synth shit, and it's really cool.
Right,
But
but
yeah,
classical. It'll have
but
like the
classical,
classical
yes.
piano with the synth accompanying it. Yeah, I thought that was
Hmm.
awesome too.
It was a cool vibe, man, and like you said, it's like a mature take, or like it's of a fairy tale we've heard for many years, you know. And I until you said it just now, I did keep forgetting, like, you know, this is Cinderella's story, but it was just seeing it from a different POV, you know, like, because I
Right,
kept thinking like, oh girl, she got the nose job, she's looking good. I was like, oh, you're gonna bag him, sister, you're gonna bag him, and then the bad shit keeps happening to her, you know. I'm like,
right.
oh, she's not supposed to, you know, win the prince of this. um but yeah, it was a fascinating film, to be honest. It you know, I had to think about this, because like usually it's like a cliche version of horror, but I'm like, it didn't have any kills or people weren't this and that, you know. But
Right.
this is still horror. I have to like retrain myself sometimes to like not think so, because at the end of it, I did kind of think, but there were no kills. But it didn't
Right.
need to have kills to be horror. You know, this is body horror. Um, I don't know.
But
I'm
it's
still
also
kind of
I'm kind of with you there where it's I mean, don't get me wrong, it is horror, but here's kind of what I was thinking. I we'll talk about this at the end when we rate this thing, but I'm honestly debating with myself if this is my favorite horror movie of the year over Sinners, which a lot of people would probably be surprised of. And I remember we talked when we talked Sinners, no spoilers, but we talked then where as good as I thought it was, I still have this issue with it being, if it stays that high on IMDb, for it to be like
right.
The Exorcist, The Shining, Sinners, Rosemary's Baby. And I thought more about why I had an issue with that afterwards. And I was talking to my wife about it. It's because it's not the only thing scary about it is a few jump scares. It doesn't have
True.
like a creepy atmosphere. But then I was thinking about this one, and it's not scary, but
Yeah, but there's an
it's
atmosphere.
nauseating as fuck.
Yeah.
And also just like what she's going through with the score always helps all that stuff. But like what she's going through makes you uneasy, more
Yes.
uneasy than I would
Yes.
say like a movie like Sinners does, which is
Yeah.
doing something so different. But I think like I don't know, I think to make that distinction as to why I would have a better time putting this up higher on a horror list than Sinners, even though they're both definitely horror.
No, yeah, I can see that. This is, like you said, this film from beginning to end, there's like an unsettling. It's like a cold world. Like it's giving off like dark fairy tale. You know, like
Right.
it's so there's a shadow or a monster just lurking beneath the trees or something like that. Uh, but no, the cast was I was actually pretty taken by the cast. The stepsister, main girl, but it did a pretty damn good job.
I thought she was
She had
amazing.
the what was it, Rachel Lee Cook effect, and she's all that. Where it's like, you know, she's a baddie if they just could,
Yeah.
you know, spruce her up a little bit. I was like, I could tell through the braces and stuff that there was like there's a baddie under there, and there was, you know,
Jen,
um,
there definitely was. And the Cinderella, both of them, just if we
yeah,
could just get out the us being dudes out of the way, they're both really good looking. They're both
very
fantastic
attractive.
looking. And I always
Even
I
one of the
always think about
dudes.
that when you have it's different when you have an actor that's cast because they're a little bit homely and
Hmm.
that's their role.
That's yeah.
But in this, it's like, no, she knows she's hot. She's a fashion model, but they did do a good
Yeah.
job of the makeup. Like they made her nose
Yes.
look different, then they gave her a nose job, then they broke it later. They busted out her teeth, and it looks so real. Like the practical effects in this were awesome.
Oh yeah. Even like yeah, towards the end too, the shot like which falls down the stairs. Spoiler, but
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of the dudes kind of gave me like Timothy Chalamet vibes. When he had like the hair with this little dirt stash
Hmm.
because he can't grow a full beard. You know, I mean he's getting there though. I mean, but he's like 30 and still can't. But hey, shout out Timothy Chalamet. I still like him. But no, yeah, this was a unique film, man. I would be honest, like the first couple minutes, I was like, I don't know where this is going. But by the
Hmm.
end, you know, it was, I don't know, it was a very, very unique film. And it was almost like there were some good effects throughout, but like towards the end, when she's getting out a certain thing, that was pretty gnarly. and
Oh,
that
it
was
was
almost worth the
insane.
price of admission.
It was insane. You know what that reminded me of? Because we'll touch on some of the body horror. Like what it honestly. And Johnny recap saying, "See why I said don't watch this with the kids." Absolutely. But I will be honest, as
Yo,
it has its moments that are super gnarly. I didn't know what exactly we were getting. I almost expected like more, but then it's one of
yes,
those like
yeah,
after looking at it, it's like no, we get a bunch of gnarly stuff. We
yeah.
get like you said, the worm bit, the toe chopping, the eyelashes.
It's a dark like it's a fairy tale, but it's just a darker take on it. It's not. It
Mhm.
does that, and it might ruin it if it's like we get all this extreme. It was just enough. It did it
Right.
just right.
Well, it wasn't like some body horror is supernatural, and you know what I mean? I
Yes,
didn't know
yeah,
if that's what it was gonna be. All of this makes sense, and
yes.
I noticed something in Johnny, something I appreciated that you pointed out right away in your video. Everything like the tapeworm bit, she's
Hmm.
gotta lose weight. Basically, like, the big thing about it is just like the Cinderella story, they come by like, "Hey, the prince is having a ball, you're gonna come there, and he wants to meet everybody and dance with them." You know what I mean? Doesn't sound that
Hmm.
bad, but then if you think about it, the way this treats it, it's like it's desperation. Everybody is using this as their way out of the situation
It's
that
the
they're
meal ticket.
in.
Yeah,
And like all that desperation is what fuels everybody's actions, and it makes it so much more intense. But it's the beauty regimen. It's like that's one thing that's always there in Cinderella is this aspect. And I think about this when I'm watching it with my daughter. It's like the most important thing. Oh no, I need to show my value by having a
right.
dress. I've got to have the dress. I've got to look right. I can't go to the ball without looking right. And they take that idea and they run with it as far as they can. And they show you like this is the extreme that people would go
We
to
go, yeah.
look right.
Yeah.
What up, Rogue? I wanted to read
I
real quick. Chill. Kill counts don't make the horror. It's the horrific feeling for show. I
yeah.
added the show you get from the film. Look at me trying to sound smarter. So you always sound smart. Chill. Don't do yourself like that. All right. Yeah. You know what I wanted to ask you about, and this is we don't get a chance to do this very often to veer off the course. Disney animated films, because obviously
Hmm.
when I think Cinderella, I think Disney animated films. And I liked it. This is something I used to when I worked at, which I say too much. I worked at a club for years, strip club. I'll just fucking say it. And there were so many people that I would like meet, so many girls that would come through. I was the DJ, so they would come in, and sometimes I would just have a question that I would ask everybody as like a poll. And
Right.
like one night in particular, I was just asking everybody, "What's your?" Well, I need to get this off there. What is your favorite Disney animated film? And everybody's all over the place, and it's kind of cool because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not into older movies, but we all grew up watching at least one movie from the
Oh
40s
yeah.
or 50s that's a
Yeah.
Disney movie, or maybe The Wizard of Oz or some kind of fairy tale like that. But what say you, brother? What's
My
your favorite,
favorite.
or a couple
Ooh.
of your favorites if you have to go that route? You guys in the
Um.
chat too. Hey,
You
Johnny
know.
Recap, Kindred Souls, bounced at a strip joint for a year as my weekend job. Hey,
Nice.
I married one, bro. I went all in. I went all in.
I was. So, were we talking just like from like the 50s era,
No,
or
whenever,
just? Oh,
whenever.
okay.
Like my
I
favorite
you know
from the '90s.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, that's my like Toy Story, Lion King, Goofy's movie, shit like that. Those are like
Oh,
some
you
of my
went
favorite.
Goofy movie. I like
Though,
that.
yeah,
I
those
went
are
to the
those are
theater
some.
and saw that with my dad. I
Did
just
you?
showed my daughter that recently.
That's one
Hell
of the
yeah.
best, bro. It's so underrated.
You know what's funny is I just recently realized, and I probably show that I'm an idiot right now. It took me a long time to realize, like, oh, Disney animated movies, or at least most of them, like the big ones, are musicals.
Mhm.
Pixar are not. Like that's the distinction. They have songs in Toy Story and Pixar movies. You got a friend in me, but the characters
Theme
don't
songs,
sing it.
yeah, yeah.
There's still it's like still like a music video that's within there, within the movie, but you don't have Woody singing that song. But
Mhm.
in Disney cartoons, you do,
Montage
and that's
clips.
that's the big distinction. I would say I've got here's the four for me, and they all came out in a row. I think it's The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King. I think that's four right in a row that came out that I think are all just
Those
flat
are
out bangers.
A
Bangers.
Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast are bangers. I think there was like a for me, when I first saw them, I saw them as a kid, and they were so dark to me. Like Beast and the
Oh
taking his
yeah.
dad, and that shit scared me. Ursula scared me as a kid. Fantasia, that movie actually scared me as a kid.
Oh, Fantasia's terrifying. Yeah. At
But
times.
there was something about Lion King, I guess, that whereas like I remember that hurt with the Mufasa, but it was something about that was more accepting, where I was like, damn, it hurt, but I don't know. I could go back and watch that. I could. Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast scared me. I couldn't watch those until because they came out when I was like maybe 3, 4. I couldn't watch those till I was like 7 again. When I was nice and vetted. But no, those are all that era. That's like you can't really miss in the early '90s when it comes to Disney movies. They were firing on all cylinders.
I'm with Rogue. I think Lion King is objectively like maybe the best one. It's such a good story, and it doesn't have as much of the I don't know why I'm losing the word for it, but the things that didn't age super well, like Little Mermaid. There's so many elements of it. It's like, yeah, you must listen to your father, and I don't know, running after a boy. I'll give up my voice for this boy, and all that. And then Beauty and the Beast is toxic as fuck. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Toxic.
Yes.
Where it's Stockholm syndrome.
Toxic,
you're taken
masculine.
captive by this person. Yeah. So I think about that. Lion King doesn't have those issues. And Aladdin with Robin Williams as the goddamn genie.
Oh fuck! I can't believe I forgot Aladdin.
Those are such good songs too. Yes. Such good songs. What up, Kenneth Bird? Oh, my brother. Yeah, chill out, man. Saying Lion King definitely, but I don't know why Wizard of Oz scares me. Wizard of Oz was terrifying when I was a kid. That to me, I think Wizard of Oz might be like the greatest movie of all time. It's up there. Because what other movie, like my daughter, I just showed it to her, she loves it. What other movie from the 40s that isn't animated will kids watch or will people still watch? And I know that's not like the definition of being the best movie, but it's so timeless. It's so good. It's one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Rogue saying, love Fox and the Hound. Hell yeah. Fox and the Hound, Lady and the Tramp, another great one that I watched a lot when I was a kid. R.I.P. Robert, truly the best. Oh boy, which Robert died?
Which talking about Robin Williams?
Oh, Robin Williams, yeah, for sure, dude. Johnny Recap says that's the best film ever made. Wizard, it's terrifying. I'm with you, man. So good. My wife loves the play Wicked, and she really liked the new movie. It seemed kind of lame to me, but all right. Back to the horror. Back to the horror. Rogue, Fox and the Hound made me cry, definitely, but is a life lesson story. That's the thing. There's some of those, like I don't even necessarily want to show my daughter Lion King or Bambi. Oh. Yeah. I don't want to have that talk just yet. Like, what happened to Simba's dad? It's like, well, I don't know. Don't worry about that. You're not ready for that.
Fast forward every time that scene comes.
Back to this. Back to Ugly Stepsister. The nuance of the characters was great because even Cinderella. I get Cinderella by the end of it, she does come off as definitely better than the Ugly Stepsister. Like she's not evil per se, but she's not this like pure angelic figure.
Yeah.
Oh, they've all got nuance.
Okay.
I was to say there's like please, Link, you go.
All right. I would just riff off what you're saying. There was a flip almost throughout the movie where it's like Cinderella starts off as a bitch, and it's the stepsister who's not really nice, right? But she's not a bitch yet, and then there's a flip of the coin, and that's
what fools you into like forgetting that you're in the Cinderella story, and that you think it's not going to go hit those beats. Another one that has way more nuance, if not just like being a kind of an evil guy, or definitely portrayed as a semi-villainous, not charming prince, is the prince.
Yes,
like when you see him and you've just kind of been built up. He's got a book of poetry that she's been worshiping. And then when you meet him, he's an ass. He's like, I would never fuck that. It's like, oh my God. So even Prince Charming, I guess it's not Prince Charming. What's that? Sleeping Beauty? Even he, not that good of a guy. Who else is? Oh, the Wicked Stepmother. Her motivation is pretty interesting. She's a whore, actually. Yeah, she's like, there's more than one way to pay for things. It's like, okay.
Yo, speaking of, I don't think I've ever seen so many erect dicks or penises in a movie than this one. I was caught off guard at first, like in the barn scene. I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, is that what I'm seeing?
Right,
And then at the end, the mom, when the daughter's sneaking out and she looks
right.
at her, and then she's just like, goes
How
to
about
town.
we actually see Cinderella bent over, and we see pretty much everything. It's a little darker than I would prefer. But then we see an erect penis heading her way, and it's like, wow, they're taking liberties. Disney
Yeah,
wouldn't approve of this.
Cinderella was throwing it back, bro. That was a stable boy. That wasn't
Yeah,
even the prince. That was just stable boy. That
right.
he looked like
What
Shyamalan.
did you think of that turn? At one point, and I had to watch this in like 3 parts, which sometimes definitely can affect like your viewings just because of life. I had to,
Absolutely.
but like there was a pretty quick. That's the moment. Like after Cinderella has sex with the stable boy, and then Elvira, our main character, the ugly
Yes,
stepsister, narcs her out to her mom, and then all of a sudden Cinderella is Cinderella.
she's a
She's
servant now.
wearing the
Yeah,
rags and she's become the servant. That turn, I thought was a little quick. Maybe I don't know. Did you? I didn't know if it was because I watched it choppy, but
well,
did you think that was quick?
I think like so initially the mom married Cinderella's dad because they thought he had money. It turns out neither one of them had money, and then
Yeah.
spoiler, the dad dies. So the
Mom, they're
mom,
broke. They have no money.
and
Yeah.
I love that scene, by the way. She's like, "There's no money." And she busts into the room. They look up. Like I said, they have no money.
Yeah.
But I think the mom, she had that socially she had this obligation to this daughter since people knew she just married into this family, and it's like,
Mhm.
but she barely wanted to take care of her own daughters.
Right.
So I think she was looking for any reason to kind of like just kick Cinderella to the curb, or not have have responsibility delegate on her shoulders, I guess. It was her way of like keeping her, she doesn't have to spend as much money, like she doesn't have to buy all her daughter's dresses because she's a servant now. That's not even
Right.
her daughter. So I think she was just looking for a reason. But at the same time, Cinderella could have played a little. She was kind of she was like talking shit. She was like, "Look at you going through my shit. My father's body's not even in the ground."
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, you can't, don't bite the hand that feeds you at that point. And then when she's
Right.
fucking in the barn, I mean, getting done in the barn, they see her watching, and they just say, "Fuck it, let her watch and
Yeah.
keep going."
Yeah.
So it was,
She goes for
she
it.
kind of, she had it coming.
We'll get back to this in a few minutes, Johnny. Great question. We'll come back to that
Ooh.
when we wrap this up. Chill out, man. Saying what? It's nudity in this? That's it. I'm watching it today. There's a fair amount of it. It's a little disturbing at times, but
Yes.
it's also pretty non-disturbing too, to a degree. We talked about it a little bit, but like the body horror stuff, like what we do get, everything, and again, Johnny pointed this out. It's all real. Like the way that they were doing that nose job is real. I started Googling it at the tapeworm. I was like, did anyone ever? I asked Grok, actually. I asked AI. I said, is that a real thing that anyone ever used tapeworms to lose weight? And it's another thing, Johnny, that you pointed out. It was like, yeah, up until like the 1930s, a lot of this
That
shit,
was
even
such
the
a yeah.
eyelash thing, wasn't that long ago that they stopped doing that. Although supposedly it's not nearly as barbaric as it seems. Like it actually wasn't that big of a deal to just sew your eyelashes into your eyes, I guess. But that was crazy.
I mean, what about that, bro? The chisel to that. Well, I don't never broken my nose, but I just felt like I felt it, and it's like there was no anesthetic or any
Yeah.
numbing of any sort, bro. Like I
Right.
thought he was just done
How
with
about the
the.
doctor doing a bump of cocaine? He puts a little like cocaine on her eyes to numb her eyes, and he's like, "One for me." It's labeled as a horror comedy, and I would
I
not
could
go
see
that
that.
far. I mean, it's got some.
It,
It's
it's
not. I
got
would
light
never
elements.
call it a horror comedy. It has moments that I definitely laughed, but not a
It's
horror
got
comedy.
no, yeah. I would never. It's a definitely a dark fantasy horror, body horror. But it's got elements of like black humor, dark comedy.
Yeah.
What's the dark comedy?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, because that I don't know. There were some characters in this. Well, yo, what do you think was the whole thing with the sister? I feel like there's a subplot going on with Elvira's
The younger
sister
sister.
that
That's what I
never
just wrote
really.
down. Yeah, I don't. There was something where I felt like it was going to go like this because first of all, she's too young. She hasn't even bled yet. Which, first of
Right.
all, she looked like she was old enough that would have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was weird. And then there's even the scene where she's in the bathtub and some spaghetti sauce drips into the bathtub over where her privates are, and it looks like menstruation. And it
Right.
looks like Cinderella's thinking of something. And it looked like Cinderella was going to pit the younger stepsister against the older one and like send her, like, I don't know, right? Did it look like there was some
Yeah.
subplot there that got cut from this hour and 50-minute movie? So maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe that
The
got cut. Right. I'm with you. You felt like there was something missing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's like, even when they had this scene of the younger sister when she finally menstruates, there was a look of worry on her, but it's like they never went back. Like it's like it never went
Mhm.
anywhere. Like there's never any. She was never at risk of getting married, or I don't. So I don't.
Nothing.
They insinuated there was a threat behind that. She's worried about it, but they never answered that. It's just a minor gripe, but maybe
No,
like
but
you
it's
said it
definitely
now.
there. I mean, honestly, it would be like my only ding on the movie.
Yeah,
Johnny, if you picked something up maybe that we didn't, or if you have the same issue, because you might be the only one in the chat that's actually seen this bad boy. Let me know if you're if you're still in here, if you made something of that. I keep on coming back to the body horror shit because I just the tapeworm that
yes, yeah.
that was so interesting. Again, just the fact that it was a real thing that women did to lose weight. But for people that haven't seen it, she eats this tapeworm. She wants to lose weight. It works. She looks fantastic. Her hair starts falling out, and she looks like she's sick as shit and all that. But other than that, she looks great, right? And eventually, she pukes up a bunch of the eggs, and she's puking up black shit. And then when the tapeworm comes out, Link, remember we talked when we did that Fulci movie, and I was saying there's this Fulci scene where
Mhm.
someone's like intestines start coming out of their mouth, and then it gets so intense, and they start like just spewing out of their mouth. I really wonder if this was almost a bit of a nod to that, because
It
it
had
was
to be.
very, very, very similar, like the same shit. What'd you think of that?
Oh, it was disgusting, but in a good way. Like, and she was like pulling on it, like it was lodged in there, and then she finally yanks it out, and all this shit starts. It's like worms just
And then it
start
got
coming out.
big, and then it got thick and big coming out too. It was so intense. It was so disgusting.
The scene where the younger sister cuts it, it kind of reminded me of. I don't. I felt like it was supposed to be symbolic of a way of severing ties, or like because it reminded me of
Mm,
like cutting an umbilical cord. Um, but I couldn't read much else into it beyond
right,
that.
that's interesting. The
Uh,
the scene where Cinderella is hugging on her dead dad who's rotting away, which I feel like I keep thinking of Pearl. There's a few movies that we've had
oh yeah,
this similar, like, I don't know if it's we would call that a plot device or a metaphorical device, symbolism or whatever the fuck it is. I guess a metaphor, like in Pearl, where that pig is rotting the whole movie, and it's kind of like Pearl's mental health deteriorating.
throughout,
I guess
yeah.
I guess this was kind of a similar thing. It was just everybody's situation deteriorating, and then Elvira's body deteriorating, kind of along with this body deteriorating. But what I wanted to bring up was the part where there's the maggots crawling on Cinderella's blue dress. I think it's right before the fairy godmother shows up. Like there was something like really, really cool looking about these white maggots crawling on this powder blue dress. Wait, what'd you think
One
of that? And
second.
then just the fairy. No, yeah, go ahead. The fairy godmother aspect of it, which obviously I'll ask Link about in just a moment. Here, let me see what Johnny Recap's got to say. He says, I thought the younger sister was an anchor for us in the audience. Without her, we might have thought all other insane behaviors were normal in that world. That's a great point, Johnny. She serves as a moral compass. Yeah, I'm right there with you. That it's still still feel like there was some kind of thread left lingering, but that's a really good point. Johnny says, what do you think about the worm metaphor theory if you stayed to the end, of course? Oh, are you talking about if it's your video? I did not make it all the way to the end. I watched like half of it right before we got rolling. But yeah, go ahead and lay it out for me because I do not know the worm metaphor. Hmm. I wonder what it is. I wonder if the worm, the bigger the worm grows, the bigger her morals kind of fail. Because I feel like it's something I want to ask Link when he gets back, and anybody, you guys in the chat, if you know anything or if you have thoughts on this, what is Elvira's like real motivation. Like, is it the prince? It kind of seems clear at first that she wants this prince and everything, but then she sees later on that he's kind of a dick and he's not what she thought she was. Does she want fame? Does she want Link? What do you think Elvira, the ugly stepsister, like? What did she really want in this movie? Did she want to? I feel like the mother just wanted to get out of her situation. She wanted to. They're not in poverty because they live in a castle and all that, but they're like house poor. You know what I mean? Like what did Elvira want?
I think she just I think she just wanted to be loved. I'm guessing maybe just to you know, I think her and her sister know the mom was both foul, they both knew she was foul. So it's like maybe her getting married was like her way of escaping that and getting away.
Yeah.
That's why they both took off. But I think because she has at the beginning with like the dream sequence and the prince and shit, she was the one imagining that, right? That was okay.
Yeah.
So that I think that was her like her fantasy, like that was her fairy tale.
Right. Well, I think once she realizes he's not who she thought she was, then she just wants it. I don't know. It was almost like, is this what she's taught that she's supposed to want? So regardless, that's what she's going to go for. Is she, or she's just trying to get out of her situation too? I don't know. As close as we were to her, maybe that wasn't as clear as it could have been for me.
No, because it was like there was an air of like competitiveness or competition to her. Like that when you like you said, when she found out the prince was a dick, it's like, why continue this endeavor of like trying to compete with Cinderella when you're not going to be happy because he's not who you. I mean, but once again, it was maybe a couple reasons, but it was an escape. But then financially, her family would have been set. So then it's like that aspect was still, she could have like, well, if he's a dick, I'll still be financially covered. My family would be good because right now, broke as shit.
She probably just doesn't care. Right. It goes back to the desperation bit. All right. Johnny says the worm metaphor is for the lie the world told her. She swallowed the lie. She wasn't beautiful without all the procedures. She rejected it at the end and spat it out. That's really interesting. That's something I think, Johnny, you might have pointed this out in your video. Like, she doesn't like realize that she's not what the world considers beautiful until that one lady that's trying to help her out like tells her. She's like, your face is not that attractive. Go look in a mirror. She's pointing out that she's a little bit pudgy and all that, which, I mean, that could also go back to, I don't know. There's this whole thing of like, why do women go through what they go through to look beautiful? Because we now live in a world that is less like this. I feel like my wife for fun wants to go get her nails done. Like, you take away all that pressure from, I don't know. I guess there is all this societal pressure to look good. It's coming from all directions, but it's also coming just as much from women as it is from men. You know what I mean? Like, it's where does the pressure come from? Because it's still there. Women are still going through painful shit in order to look good. But who is it for? Is it for them or is it for us? Because I don't give a shit. I feel like we don't care. We don't care as much as they think we care.
Yeah. That's a good question though. It's like, who is it for at the end of the day? Because it's like people want to be attractive just so others are attracted to them, right? So it's like, I guess like the standard of beauty is, I guess it is for others, I mean, and not really. You can do it for yourself as well, but I get what you mean. Like, it's like, how many plastic surgery is like really prevalent right now. Like, it's a big thing. People, there's more procedures than ever. So there's something about people wanting to maintain their youthfulness, and that's, I don't know, that maybe that's an image that's projected though. That's what's told. That's the standard of beauty. That's not necessarily what it is. It's
exactly, because it changes.
Yes.
There's African tribes where the fatter you are, the hotter you are. And some of that is coming here. You know what I mean? It used to be like in the 90s. Like, you'll go back and watch movies and you'd be like, she's got a big butt, and it's like a diss on that person. And now it's like, she got a fat ass.
I'm like, where?
Right? Like, that's changed in our lifetime. Thank you, Sir Mix-a-Lot, for pointing out that fat asses are kind of where it's at. But that's, it changes. Johnny says the whole story is a metaphor for being happy with who you are. It's a really good point too. Yeah.
Yep. Because at the end, when her and the sister dip off, like she's worse for wear than she ever was, but she's happy. You know, like her and they're finally gonna get away from all that the toxic energy the mom was carrying around.
Right. That fucking mom. The fairy godmother bit. I mean, we gotta spend much time on that, but I thought that was cool. Like when she showed up, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like a few minutes, or like maybe right before she showed up, I'm like, "Oh my god, is there gonna be a fairy godmother?" Like it had
I thought it was gonna be
made me forget that there was gonna be something like that.
Yeah. That kind of I was like, "Oh yeah, that element." I was like, "Oh my god, are we going like fantasy, like supernatural fantasy in this bitch?" But they handled it well. I guess it's kind of where did the silkworms come from? From the fairy godmother?
Is that what they are?
Or because remember they fell in her dress, or they repaired her
I
dress?
think they're maggots from the dead dad, from the dad's body. Okay. Yeah, that's what I think that was. Like I said, that looks so fucking cool. Did you?
Yeah.
Well, let's touch on the end, but I don't want to forget this part. Well, obviously we're gonna touch on her chopping off her goddamn toes and shit, which was insane. Such a fucking clever idea. How about when it ends though, and it pops up on the screen, and it's before the subtitles tell you what it says. It ends. We have the ugly stepsister laying on the ground, nose busted, feet bleeding, can't fucking walk, can't fucking talk, and Cinderella going out there to put her slipper on. We don't see it. It fits, and it ends, and it pops up and it says "slut."
Slut, yeah.
I'm like, Jesus, that was harsh. And then it finds out that's how you say the end in Norwegian. Yes. I was like, oh, thank God. That was a tasteless way to end this fucking
I thought I'm glad you noticed that, because I noticed that too. I was like, oh Jesus, like damn, right? Like way to just drive it home. But then it was intentional too, because the end was delayed. You know, slut popped up first, and then the end.
So fucking funny. But anyway, like I had never read. It wasn't until after I watched the movie till I looked up. I'm like, okay, that's the way that the Brothers Grimm story went. There are versions of this where the ugly stepsisters physically cut. She has the slipper, so she holds it up to her foot, and she's like, okay, I can carve my foot to fit in this fucking slipper. I thought it was such a smart idea. She does it, and then the mom comes up and says, Cinderella, you've done the wrong foot. She has to do the other one. It's like, oh my God, you idiot. So they chop her all up, bust her nose up, bust her teeth out. She just looks insane at the end. I thought it was like brilliant, man. Like, I almost wish it was like her idea, the filmmaker's idea, and that actually there wasn't something. I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is. Great way to include it. But it's like, damn, that's a fucking brilliant idea.
No, yeah, that was brutal. That fucked me up, because I was like, especially when the mom came in and she was just like, I've got to finish the job. And she did it so cold, you know? Old girl wakes up, and I'm thinking, like, do they have like is this like, they got something in the chamber for, like, they get, because they did the nose shit. I'm like thinking it's maybe another procedure that they just got, I don't know. But no, she was just, what do you want to call it? What do you call people who've been, well, she just mutilation or whatever. She was handicapped.
She'd been through the grinder. She'd been through the goddamn grinder. Jill says, I heard nudity, coke, and dicks. You guys sold me. Load up to watch this now. Johnny says, it was Cinderella's dead mom. She commanded the worms, which I guess, I guess they were silkworms. You guys are right. To make the dress from silk spun after eating his corpse.
Oh.
Did she lay it out like that? I just remember her showing up and being like, take these shoes. And they even go with a pumpkin. He'll turn back to a pumpkin.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was cool.
I just remember seeing. I didn't think she had explained it. I just remember seeing the worms on the dress and shit. So I was just like, oh, okay, like maybe there's some magic going on.
Maybe Johnny's just implying that, or she spells it out, but it's definitely there.
No, yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like we've pretty much hit everything that I wanted to hit. Let me just scan through my notes really quick. Again, the eyelashing, weaving was really cool. How about the shot when they chop the toes off and they're like still attached to the body and they're hanging off, and they pretty much set the camera and like backed it out through the cut toes, like in the super close up, blood squirting out. That was so good. So good. Yeah, I think we hit everything,
So
man.
painful.
Prince is an ass. Stable Boy's dick. Yeah, we fucking hit it
Lot of
all.
dick shots.
we,
Yeah.
we hit it all. All right, let's rate this bad boy and get up out this bitch. Before we do, real quick, tell you guys, Wednesday, Final Destination double feature. Stoked for this. I watched the first one last night, pretty much with my daughter. It was a movie that I could just cover her eyes every now and then. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was fine. I kind of enjoyed the shit out of it. So we're doing Final Destination 1 and 2. That's on Wednesday, 12:30 Central Time. And next week, Sunday, same time. We'll do it 1:30 Central Time, 2:30 Eastern Time. Next Sunday. I love that I was able to find these alternate movie covers that I think really go together.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the
80 homage slashers. There's a new Fear Street Prom Queen drops on the 23rd, so 5 days from now, and then Hell of a Summer is out video on demand. What's this kid's name from Stranger Things? I can't think of his name. What's his name?
Wolfhard.
Finn Wolfhard. Yeah, he wrote. I think he wrote. I know he directed it though. And Link, you saw it. You enjoyed it, right?
Yeah. Surprise.
Hell yeah.
It was a very good surprise.
Hell yeah, man. So I'm super stoked about that. That'll be a double feature next Sunday. And then again, another double feature on Wednesday. We got 4 bangers for you this week, or hopefully. I haven't seen a couple of them. So where you at on it, man? Cinderella, or not Cinderella, The Ugly Stepsister. 5 for John recaps.
I will give it a strong. I need to give it a rewatch, but I give it a strong 4.5.
Hell yeah.
It was unique. It wasn't what I was expecting. This could have room to grow. Like, it's a unique film. I once again, I really want to shout out like the dance scenes with the electronic fusion, classical music. That was really cool. Great performances. To be honest, I looked up the Elvira, and she's not done anything that we've seen her in. Like, and I think this is her biggest thing she's done, and she knocked it out the park.
Both of them. That's Cinderella. I want to know, like, do you ladies speak English? Can you speak of the English? Because I thought they were both like amazing. Yeah. Cinderella, both of them, like, man, I feel like I know these two from something. And then I looked and I didn't know either of them, but both of them, great performances and just like beautiful women. It was, they were great.
It's definitely one to it's definitely one of the better films I've seen this year.
Hell yeah.
Just they went, like I said, I always respect when people go for that shit, man, and they went for it, like in all aspects, right?
So,
yeah.
I love the show. I'm gonna go right there with Johnny, man. I can't believe it, but I'm going 5. I'm fucking going 5. Does it deserve it? I don't know, but it was close enough for me. Like, what did I give Sinners? A 4.5, and I think it's a great movie, like truly a great movie. And afterwards, I was like, this is artsier. So I'm like, I enjoyed this more than Sinners, and it was a little gross. I don't know. I was so into it the whole time, and at the end, I was like, that was brilliant. I was like, that was such a fucking good, smart movie. I want my wife to watch it because she loves Cinderella so much. I think she'll actually. I
like that.
She'll really enjoy it. A few years, Madison. I got you. We'll watch this. We'll do a revisited review on it as soon as you could string sentences together, paragraphs. All right. So hell yeah, man. A 5 from me, a 4.5 from you. We got. I think the only one in the chat that had seen it was Johnny. Recaps, giving it a 5. So, hey, again, you guys go check out Johnny's video on it. Check us out on Wednesday, talking Final Destination 1 and 2. And right back here next Sunday with The Missing Link for Fear Street Prom Queen, which drops on the 23rd, and Hell of a Summer, which, again, on video on demand right now. So, again, appreciate you guys in the chat. Johnny, Rogue, Sal, I just guessed Sal was up in here. I don't know if he was. Kenneth Bird, chill out, man. You guys are the shit. Again, appreciate the hell out of you. Mr. Link, the Missing Link, my brother. Appreciate you as well. We're going to get up out of here. Madison's just making her appearance. You want to say bye? Come on. Come on. Come on. Can you say bye-bye? Bye-bye. Bye-bye. It's a great question, Johnny. I forgot.
Let's
Let's address that. Well, we're doing what fucking Robbie does with his fake outros and shit. Did we see it as a happy ending? Okay, so let's break that down. For the Ugly Stepsister, you know, if you're looking at it with a way, especially with what Johnny's saying, she has spit out the lie about her body. So she can, hey, quit touching that. I'm messing with my comic books. So, you know, you could say there's something positive for her. She spit out the lie. She's going to own who she is. And then as far as, so maybe it's slightly happy for her. She can't fucking walk. Her feet look like shit. Her nose has seen better days. So there's that. It's kind of like in the middle for her. It's not great what she's been through. But then as far as where Cinderella is going, we know that prince is not the greatest guy. So is she going to be better off than at least where she was? She's not a servant for this wicked stepmother. So having said all that, what do you think, Link?
I think it was a happy ending because everyone kind of got what they wanted at the end. Like the sisters, they got away from the toxic environment with their mother. The mother, she found another pimp or sugar daddy, whatever, milk ticket, whatever she was looking for. Cinderella found her Prince Charming. Prince Charming found his Cinderella. So it's like bad stuff happened, but it's like I think they were all happy by the end of the film. Like they're all where they wanted to be for the most part.
You know what I think? I think it almost points out because everyone kind of got what they want, but none of it is great. None of it's great. It almost like it emphasizes the fact that like we live like goddamn kings. Nobody had a hot shower until like 50, 60 years ago.
That blows.
You know what I mean? It sucked to be anybody and everybody in the past. Like even the prince probably hates his life for the most part. I don't know. Maybe that's not true. They ate more organic food and they got more exercise and they socialized a lot more than we do. So I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I would like to know like mental health state because of that. The way that we live our lives is not good. What we eat and how we interact and everything. It's not as healthy as it was.
They had way more disease though. You know, and it's and there was less nuance, I would say, when it comes to certain, even though we're still we act like children as a species, you know, back then, if you had epilepsy or something, you were cursed, you know, you had demon in you or something like, so, you know, there's more nuance now.
There was no upward mobility. If you were born poor, you're probably going to stay poor forever.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
phase system.
There's that. As far as this goes, I don't think anybody, I would say, no, it's not necessarily a happy ending because I don't see anybody really coming out of this happy. But unless the Ugly Stepsister, depending on what she does with what she's just been through, with the knowledge she just gained, you know what I mean? So I guess she has the potential.
She got the
I don't know.
Peace of mind.
Where were you at on it, Johnny? If you're still in here, you think it's a happy ending?
You know, Elvira got peace of mind. The younger daughter didn't get pimped out. You know.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Let's just go for an awkward ending. Let's just end this thing.